This is a public hearing on the amendments for the calendar year 2024 municipal budget of the city of Orange Township held via audio video conference on Wednesday, August the 7th, 2024 at 6:02 p.m. Roll call. Councilmember Coley,
Present.
Councilmember Eason,
Present.
Councilmember Hilbert,
Present.
Councilmember Montague III,
Present.
Councilmember Ross,
Here.
Councilmember Summers Johnson,
Here.
and Council President Wooten.
Here.
Also present is Joyce L. Lanier, the city clerk, Tamara Robinson, deputy city clerk. I believe Mayor Warren is here. Is that correct, Council President?
He should be here momentarily. I think he said 5 minutes.
Okay. Chris M. Hartwick, business administrator. LaQuana Best, planning director. Derek Brown, fire chief. Now Clement, CFO.
Present.
Vincent DiFilippo, health officer. Paula Fiera, tax collector. Marty Mays, public works director. Attorney Mizrahi. Chris Murray, tax assessor. Wendy Sykes, director, community service. Marlon G. Towns, legislative research officer. Vincent Vidiello, police chief. I believe Marguerite Homer is here and Trisha Scipio, city clerk's office, are both here.
I'm here as well, Joyce. I was just having trouble unmuting. Sorry.
Okay, gotcha. Council President, would you like to have a moment of silence?
I would, Madam Clerk, and I would like this moment of silence to be for a great man of the city of Orange Township. He was a gentleman who was a dad to so many people in our town. He's the actual father of Councilwoman Summers Johnson, Mr. James Johnson. So a moment of silence. Summers, I'm sorry. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 et seq. The Sunshine Law has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the record transcript and published in the Star Ledger on August 2nd, 2024, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, the council's website, the city's website, and filed in the office of the city clerk. The purpose of this meeting is to have a public hearing on the amendments for the calendar year 2024 local municipal budget. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion, Montague.
Second.
Second, Wooten.
Motion by Councilmember Montague III, second by Councilmember Wooten. Roll call. Councilmember Coley?
Yes.
Councilmember Eason?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilbert?
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III?
Yes.
Councilmember Ross?
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson is absent.
Yeah,
no,
I'm here.
Council President Wooten.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is an advertised public hearing on the amendments for the calendar year 2024 municipal budgets. Copy has been made available to the public through the clerk's office and on the websites. Anyone who has not secured a copy of the amendments of the calendar year 2024 municipal budget may come to the clerk's office and retrieve a copy. Council President?
I think there may be a statement, I'm not sure, from the administration. Is that what's gonna happen, CFO Clements or BA Chris Hartwright right now, or should we just start with the public?
Hey, Council President, I wouldn't mind setting the tone for the meeting. I know everyone has questions about how we arrived at the amended budget, so I can go take us through the numbers if that's all right.
Thank you.
Before we do that, let me just read before opening this hearing, I wish to outline the procedures. Each person desiring to be heard will raise their hand or give his or her name and address before speaking. The chair will recognize one speaker at a time in order of the risings, as nearly as she can determine, and all questions should be addressed to the chair when necessary. They will be referred to individual members of the governing body. Municipal officials or advisor questions must be confined solely on the amendments calendar year 2024 municipal budget before us. School or county matters are not proper subjects for this hearing and cannot be discussed or answered this evening. CFO.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, Orange. Tonight, we're having a public hearing on our 2024 amended budget, which was approved via resolution by the council on July 15th. I solely want to take you guys through how we got to this point. So the budget process is as follows. Departments submit their requests at the end of the calendar year. Administration reviews the requests and makes a first round of cuts. After that, we go through the year. We have to finalize our debt statement, our financial statements, and then we introduce the budget to the council. The budget was introduced to the council on May 21st, 2024. After the budget was introduced to the council, then the budget is in the city council's hands. We design, or rather we organize, and we have department meetings with the city council. All the department heads come, they present their requests to the city council, what they would like to be included in the calendar year budget. City council then goes through all of their requests with a fine-tooth comb. They look for additional cuts. They work with the budget consultants, and those are what are known as the amendments that we're going through tonight. So now we have the amended budget. I just want to let you guys know that before the council has the budget, the BA, Mr. Hartwig, myself, the mayor, we go through the budgets and we make cuts. So those are the first round cuts. Then you have the council's cuts. And then at the end, we also work with the budget consultant. So we've went through this budget multiple times to try to weed out as much as possible. Onto the budget. So this total budget this year, $89.2 million, which is up $5 million from 2023's budget of $84.1 million. What comprises that $5 million in increases? So $2,200,000 is comprised of salary and wage increases. $1,200,000 is attributable to pension increases. $600,000 is attributable to insurance increases. Then you have another $600,000 attributable to an increase in the capital improvement fund. And then $400,000 is attributable to our garbage contract and increase in utilities. Circling back to the salary and wages, what makes up that $2.2 million of the salary and wages? About 5/8 of that $2.2 million is made up by police. $2 million of the $2.2 million is made up of police and fire increases. And I'll say that again. Of the $2.2 million of salary and wage increases, $2 million is made up of police and fire. 5/8 of that $2 million is attributable to police, and 3/8 of that $2 million is attributable to fire. So there's a $5.1 million increase in expenditures in 2024's budget, but municipal taxes this year have gone up $4.2 million. All right. So they went from $61.5 million in 2023 going to $65.7 million in 2024. And then lastly, I just want to go over the overall tax impact. So for the average homeowner assessed at $315,000 in the city of Orange, the total increase in taxes this year is $580. That's 4.9% increase in taxes. That is down from the introduced budget. We made some cuts. So the introduced budget's total increase in taxes was $605 on the average homeowner. And that was at 5.2%. And both the amended budget for 2024 and the introduced budget for 2024 are lower than the 2023 adopted budget, which had a $825 increase for the average homeowner, and that was a 7.6% increase in taxes. Madam Clerk, Council President, that concludes.
Thank you so much.
Introduction. Thank you.
I'm going to call on Mayor Warren.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Madam President and members of the council. I did just want to chime in on the budget discussion and let the council know about some of the things that happen in this budget that we don't intend to happen in our next budget. And I want to ask the council to commit to start working on the next budget as soon as this one is adopted, of savings that we need to capture, but we have to do it in a quick and timely fashion. The most extraordinary of these are the 5 unions, labor unions in the city, and the increases that happened in this contract year won't happen again because of some of the negotiations that we're into right now, and because of some of the moves that we're making. We seek to put a very deep impact in the overtime numbers that have caused us an increase in the budget. And we were faced with the pension office, who there was a pension decision that was made in the early 2000s, and the payment plan on that pension backloaded the interest, the penalties, and the larger payments, and they came due now, and we had to make that payment as well. But that matter will be done this year and will not impact the contracts, the labor contracts, including police and fire. Our plans for negotiation for 2025 will bring those numbers down significantly as well, including our decision not to rehire and to decrease our manpower by attrition and not filling certain positions, especially those that are in a higher bracket salaries. That going forward will be included in our negotiation package with the unions. So all of them will expire this year. So the payment to the unions will not be part of our next budget either. And that will be a significant increase. As you heard, those were the highest impacts on our budget, some $3 million. Working together with the city council, we've really heard from the public and identified areas where there can be cost reductions and cost containment. And the refusal or the decision not to make hiring decisions based on those positions that are leaving. So for instance, if there's a certain number of police or fire people that are leaving to retire, there's no rush to replace all of those positions so that we pare our numbers down through attrition, and then we hire at much lower rates. In the healthcare arena, that's a pretty significant.
Okay, Joyce, we seem to have lost the mayor. So you want to start with the public, and if he comes back on, we'll get him in.
Okay, but before we do that,
the
budget.
I'm sorry, am I back in? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I think I left off with the healthcare and prescription coverage is something that has been just an increase overall. It has to do with the economy. It's just but we were going to be hit a double-digit increase in our healthcare costs, but we switched insurance fund where we saved substantially on the increase in costs. But one of the areas that we can't avoid and that we're looking for a legal way out is the payments that we're making for retirees. Before I came into office, there was a deal negotiated through a labor agreement that
Joyce.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk. If you can send someone down to open the front door of City Hall, I could come up and I'll be on I can get on the city's Zoom.
Trish, can
but I'm right outside now.
Okay, Trish, come down.
That decision, that labor contract provision that required us to pay for retirees health benefits into retirement is really an increase that we couldn't avoid, but we have the lawyers and the council will be helping us to negotiate how we get out of that long-range commitment because it is very expensive. And it ended, the commitment ended for new retirees, but it's still a number of old retirees under an old contract that we still have to provide for. Now, on the revenue side, it's important to note that this budget cycle is the last budget cycle before we start to have our pilot payments kick in. Right after the budget cycle is over, we expect about $1.5 million just in those payments alone. The community benefits agreements will add just a little over $1.2 million. So those revenues will not be counted in this budget, but they will impact the future budgets going forward, and those will be payments that will continue to incur. And we're working with the city council now to make sure that those expenditures are spent on long-range items that we won't have to continue to pay for, so they can offset some of the investments we make in capital and other items, but those will be rolling costs. And the community benefit funds, we're speaking now to the auditors and to the accountants to see whether or not it can be invested to turn over every year in perpetuity, so that money will be invested and the interest that we earn from it could be used to substantiate our budget. Those interest funds could help us in the life cycle of our budgetary process. Then there's a overall cost of goods and services that has increased, just part of the economy that we can't forecast and we can't negotiate. But there are places where we're starting to join insurance funds and other co-ops that normally have lower prices, but still prices are going up overall. So I just wanted to report those items that are not seen in the budget and to assure residents and the council that going forward, this kind of increase will not be expected because of the new revenue and because of these one-shot big payment items that we faced in this budget. And I'm open to any questions. I'll be here throughout the meeting, Madam Clerk.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Warren. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Does the budget consultant have any statements?
No, I don't have anything to add to the mayor and CFO summary of the budget. Thank you.
You're welcome. So this meeting is now declared open for the public hearing on the amendments to the 2024 calendar year budget. Council President, are there any comments from the public?
I don't see. Okay, I do. Karen Wells.
Council President, also Rachel Tennant has her hand up.
I see, and Ms. Bozeman and I'm checking to see if we need to do something to let the residents unmute. Just give me a second.
Oh, sorry,
Yes, you just let me know when you call on them. I'll unmute them.
Okay, Trish. Karen Wells.
Yes, my question was, why wasn't the amended budget posted 48 hours before we were going through this review? We'd like to review it, and we didn't get the 48 hours.
CFO Clements or
Madam Clerk, I'm not sure about the posting of the actual amended budget, but the advertisement for the amendments was done prior to it being voted up via resolution at the July 15th meeting. So that was properly advertised. That resolution was presented and approved.
It was advertised, but the budget itself wasn't posted 48 hours prior.
do we have B.A. Hartwig or Attorney Ms. Rahi?
Council President?
Yes, Madam
I
Clerk.
think this question might be directed towards the clerk's office, so I would have to ask, when did we receive the amendments?
Today.
And was it posted? Because the clerk's office is responsible for posting the amendments.
Okay.
So that goes to my staff.
Okay, so can you let us know when they were posted?
We have to, yeah.
Okay.
Can we
Any
get
other
back
questions,
to
Ms. Wells?
Yeah, but the thing is, to me, we shouldn't even be having this meeting if we didn't meet the 48 hours.
I'll let the law department weigh on that one.
So what the issue is that whether or not the budget was posted, we don't know. Was the budget posted within 48 hours?
No.
I'm not asking you, Ms. Wells. I'm asking the clerk's office.
I would have to say yes, but someone from my office should weigh in on it, because I'm sure if we received the amendments, then it was posted. And it probably was posted in the Star Ledger and then later posted in the transcript.
Well, there was certainly notice posted. The question is when was the budget made available to the public?
Well, which I don't have that answer with me right now.
Okay.
Okay, so while they're researching that, can we go on to Dr. Gloria Bozeman, please? And Ms. Wells, we'll get back to you. Dr. Bozeman.
I was waiting for the opportunity to be unmuted. So I want to thank you first off for this opportunity. I found you, even though it was a little difficult to find some of the information that was required. I want to say first off, I haven't regularly attended meetings for quite some time now, but for those of you who know me, know that my intention is always to get clarity. So right now I'm at a little of a disadvantage. I heard that first question about what the detailed budget might have revealed, and I will be coming to the clerk's office to get any of that information, because it's very difficult to pose a question when the information presented is presented in such an abstract manner. But my questions will be specific as I can be right now with regard to how the budget is determined and whether there is any opportunity to look at the services that are rendered. Our taxes have gone up substantially and consistently over all of the years that I have lived here in Orange, in the house in Orange. But the services, as far as I can assess, have not matched what it is that I'm putting into in terms of the pool for the budget to be discerned. And so if the services are not matching what I put out, then I have to question who's looking at the services and what it is that we might be able to eliminate, modify, or just get rid of if in fact they're not being responsive to our needs. I heard in the detail, and I want to thank, was it Mr. Clemens or whomever it was that gave us that information about how that was determined. If we're talking about looking at, I'm just going to pick three. If we're talking about looking at the services that provide sanitation, it's rare that my garbage can is even emptied fully. But if it is and something drops on the street, then I'm going to have the responsibility for cleaning it up. And I believe that there should be some assessment made as to the effectiveness of that group of people that we have delivering those services. I believe that all civil servants have a responsibility to residents. And I believe that all residents should be fully involved in how we determine who will in fact be those civil servants. I want to talk about looking at, I understand when unions make a contract that definitely those raises are not necessarily determined by us. But what has to be looked at is what it is that we can do to offset that instead of putting that incumbents on residents. And so I'm asking, who looks at and matches up the services that we receive to the expenditures that are acquired as a result of our property taxes? I say there could be more efficiency in City Hall. I believe that there could be. Everybody can't go to lunch at the same time. That we have to make certain that those offices are covered, because during lunchtime is when most working people will be coming to City Hall in order to ask a question. Is that music?
Your time is up, Dr. Bozeman. B.A. Hartwhite, could you answer that question for her?
The administrative team reviews not only the expenditures, but also the services provided. Not only do we review it during budget time, but we review it periodically throughout the year. We have bi-weekly department head meetings in which we review all of the open items and ongoing projects. We review the services that are being delivered, including service complaints and resolutions. So there is an ongoing assessment, not only of the budget expenditures on a process basis, but also the delivery of services throughout the year.
Thank you, B.A. Chris. Ms. Janice Morrell.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to have comment about the budget. Unfortunately, like the other persons, and I want to reiterate what Mrs. Wells and Dr. Bozeman's comments were, we cannot determine and make any suggestions for budget process enhancements if we are not provided with information. CFO Clements, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, said that we could look at the published notices. The published notices contain the financial chart of accounts numbers, what the original posted numbers were, and what the revised numbers are. They do not include any reasons for them. They do not provide any information, qualitative information or narrative about why cuts or decreases were made. If I recall correctly, and I do, at the July meeting, some of the reasons put forth were grounded in overtime. My first question is, why the overtime? What circumstances and cost factors contributed to the overtime? Considering that the City Council has fiduciary responsibilities for our budget and receive periodically a bill list, and I assume it's more detailed than the published bill list, why were not appropriate measures taken to cut the expenditures, particularly the escalating expenditures, much earlier in the budget year? The last question I have, and I have a ton of them, and I'll just put them in writing to you later, Madam President. But the issue of monitoring a budget resides with the City Council because it approves the appropriations, and the bill list allows you to see how those monies are expended via year-to-date totals. What can the City Council do? Explain that to us, to forestall or cut the expenses on an ongoing basis. And I guess my last question on this, and I'm sorry, I have another question. As I said, I have tons of them.
Madam President?
Yes, I was telling Ms. Morrell that your time was up, but please send me those questions. CFO Clements?
Yes, just to double back on Ms. Wells' comment or question and to Ms. Janice Morrell. So we are in accordance with the law. Looking at the law, there's nothing that says that we have to post the adopted budget before it's actually adopted. And as Ms. Morrell stated, we did post and advertise all of the budget amendments according to the FOCA codes, and we checked all our boxes. So I think we're in compliance. And then as far as her request, I mean, next year, if you want, we can post the amendments earlier so you have a chance to look at the introduced versus the amended. But just for the record, we are in compliance. Everything was done the right way. Thank you.
You're welcome. And CFO Clements, could you let people know what the FOCA codes are?
FCOA stands for Flexible Chart of Accounts. So that's how the state is able to identify different expenditures. It's broken down by year, general government, the fund, whether it's public safety, and then it comes down to office materials and supplies, professional service contracts, etc.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Nordia Gibbs, please.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good night, everyone. So I was kind of sharing the same sentiment with Ms. Wells because I was, in fact, I did see the notice for a meeting, but there was no agenda attached, which means the amended budget wasn't there. It showed up on the website after I called yesterday, after 11 a.m. I was looking for this amended budget because I wanted to kind of see where the numbers changed from what was proposed. It did appear online eventually with the agenda for today. So I'm not really sure if there was, in fact, a conflict for the 48-hour, if you're saying that it was posted elsewhere, I'm not sure. But for me, definitely wasn't available for my review within a 48-hour time frame. In any event, I was wondering how does the council, the administration, the department's head meet to discuss the budget? I think meetings such as this is super important so the public can see how you discuss the budget, discuss the funding, approve those overtime. Because if we don't view how you're attempting to save us money, then we're going to assume that you're not, because every year our taxes are going up. So what exactly are you doing behind the scenes in order to prevent that? I was privy to West Orange municipal budget hearing. While the public was not able to comment, they were allowed to view on Zoom to see how the council, the department heads, and the administration talk about each item, each line item, each salary, whether we could, not hire hair, put the money over there just to not have an increase or to remove some funding somewhere. So that would be nice if Orange had that process that you can open up to the public. The last meeting on July 15th, I had some questions about the salaries for staff. I did get a response regarding some statutory requirements, tenure, longevity pay, which I completely understand. So I proceeded to look for a salary ordinance because I kind of want to justify how these, salaries are being paid. And of course, it's the only ordinance that's not on the website. Of course, it's available in the city clerk's office. No problem. but I assume most businesses have kind of like an employee handbook that kind of determines how these employees are to go about doing business. I assume again that the township goes by the code of ethics. It's dated 1981. If there's a more updated version, please point me in that direction, but that's 43 years ago. Things need to change. I will share the rest of my comments via email.
Council President, I just wanted to first say, number one, that the residents need to turn on their cameras and state their name and address before they begin to speak. And the date that it was published on the city's website was June 22nd. You're welcome.
And also, Council President, it was published in the transcript on July 24th.
You're on mute, Council President.
Sorry about that. Thank y'all. Miss Aisha Samuel.
Hi, good evening. Oh, wait, hold up. I gotta turn my camera on.
You're on mute.
Okay, there we go. 401 Highland Terrace. I have been attending all of the council meetings, all of the budget meetings. I understand everything that's going on. I understand that the mayor, the CFO, and the BA are the ones who really determine the budget and are the ones who make pretty much all of the decisions. And that city council just passes resolutions and stuff like that. So what I want to say right now is that the city council needs to say no to passing this resolution, and you guys need to go back to square one. The next thing I want to say is, looking at the amended documentation that I saw, it did not tell me where any of the pilot money is going. There's like about 11 different pilots here in Orange for all of these new buildings. And it does not say where any of that pilot money is going. So I want to know where the pilot money is going. I also want to know, I got another question for the next meeting, but that's the main thing for this one. Where's the pilot money going? And I understand that it's the CFO, the mayor, and the BA who are making all of the financial decisions. But where's the pilot money going?
Do you have any more questions, Ms. Samuel, or is that it?
That was it regarding this meeting, but I'm gonna be at the next one and I have questions for that one.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. CFO Clements, can you point her out to where she would see the pilot payments?
Absolutely. So on sheet 10 of the official budget document, you'll see all of the pilot revenues. They're listed as general revenues, miscellaneous revenues, and they're used to offset expenditures. As you know, we have to have a balanced budget. Revenues and expenditures have to meet. So again, Ms. Samuels, so on sheet 10 of the official budget document, you'll see all of the anticipated revenues related to pilots. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Franz Placide?
Yes. So my name is Ashley Placide and my husband Franz is here. We live at 165 Elmwood Drive. We are new residents in Orange. We moved here in January. So a few things that concern me about this as new homeowners here, of course, wanted to join this meeting, and this is my first meeting. I'll be attending more, but a few of them that things that concern me are, number one, I have a lot of neighbors that are sick or not able to make it to the clerk's office. So how would they be able to access the budget if they can't come down to the clerk's office or if they do not have a smartphone or internet access? Myself and my husband are able to do those things, but I know that some of them are not. So I'm also taking notes to relay back to some of them after this meeting. Besides police and fire, what are the other cost-cutting measures, or, what other cost-cutting measures are we taking for higher level positions in the city? As I've done some research once we moved here, there's a lot of positions where I'm in HR trying to find the job descriptions, trying to understand what their actual value that they're adding to the township and to the city. Not really understanding that. I agree. I can't remember the individual's name, but she mentioned the effectiveness of the civil servants that we have. We've had issues with squatters and empty homes across the street from our home. The litter, the trash cans not being emptied. Snow has not come yet, but I am not confident on, things like that at this point. I guess I'll have to see how it goes. Also, in terms of accessibility for those that can or cannot make these meetings, are we looking to go into a hybrid model for these meetings to have them in person, or other ways that people can call in if they are, again, don't have a smartphone or a device to have the visibility to these meetings? And then also, last question for right now. I do have more questions, again, as a new resident, but I wanted to know where to send those questions. So is there an email, or do I have to go in person? I work from home, so I can go into the clerk's office easily. If there's questions that I have or some of my neighbors have, I want to forward those. So if you could provide an email address or whatever options there are to contact you, I would like to have and understand those so that I can also share it with my neighbors. Thank you. That's all.
Council President,
Thank
we'll
you,
have
Ms.
to put the email address in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. The clerk's office, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Richard Marta.
Yes, good evening, Council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Richard Martha, 740 McLaughlin Place. And Council President Wooten, congratulations on your new role as Council President. I've been mulling over the numbers. I've been living here for almost 20 years, so I have some history that I can compare with, and I've compared numbers with the annual operating budget for the city. I'm also looking at the valuation of my home over 20 years, and I'm discovering some disturbing patterns, and I'll relay some of those numbers to everybody attending here so that people can maybe look for themselves. So I'll start with the home valuation, which factors into the calculation of the property taxes. It's one part of the equation, right? So my home has increased on average over 19 years by 2.24%. Okay, that's basically the increase in value over a 20-year period. When I compare that with the annual operating budget for the city, I'm seeing a pattern of 3.2% on average over a period of 2 years. So that outpaces my home valuation by a full percentage point, by a full percent. And then I look at my tax increases over that same period. And my property taxes have increased by 6.5% on average per year. This is way out of step. This is double the increases of the operating budget. And that really puts into question where the money is going to. Now, I understand salary requirements, I understand pensions, but this council is going to have to do the hard work of finding budget cuts, make really tough decisions, because this is not sustainable for the citizens here. It's simply not sustainable. And the past 3 years after the pandemic, the increases were as follows: 20%, 7%, and 10% consecutively over the past 3 years. And now we're looking at another major increase. It's not sustainable. Thank you. And I encourage the council to vote no, every member, please.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Mr. Randall Nixon.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Please turn on your camera.
Turn on my camera. 1 second. I'm in transit. Oh my God. Unmute. Sorry. Can you see me? Hear me?
Yes.
So I think it was Mr. Matham who just spoke. I mean, I think he laid it out excellently.
Before you begin, just state your whole name and your address.
Yeah.
Just for the
Randall Nixon. I'm at 666 Mosswood Avenue. I just moved in January also, so somewhat new, but I think what was just laid out is really pretty powerful, and that should be enough, I think, to get you guys to vote against this budget. I mean, this kind of increasing is, yeah, it's just out of line with reality. It's out of line with what the facts are. I think that was well stated. But beyond that, right? I mean, you know, I pay a higher rate of taxes than just about anyone that I know. I know people all over the state. To some of the points that have been made before, like there's not convincing evidence indicating what the value add is going to be of these new funds, right? It's not being passed on to citizens. So I hope you guys will vote no against this. I think there have been a lot of excellent points made. One point that I haven't heard made is, you know, for the amount of taxes that we pay as a parent, one of my big concerns is quality of the schools. And I've actually seen the ratings of some of the schools in Orange decline over the past year. So, you know, wanting to keep this about the budget, I would love to understand kind of what parts of this budget pertain to the schools. And certainly, unless it's compelling, even if they are, you know, I would still maintain my recommendation that the council votes against this. I think that's pretty much all I got. I appreciate you guys for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Mr. Tyrone Tarver.
Hello? Hello?
Mr. Tarver?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Tyrone Tarver, 258 Ogden Street. I'm just going to say a few things and definitely try to also back up some statements that were made by some of the citizens. Regarding the timing of the posting of meeting items, statute NJSA 10:4-A section D, which is titled adequate notice. It means written advance notice of at least 48 hours, giving the time, date, location, and the agenda of any regular, special, or rescheduled meeting. The agenda, and I was looking diligently on the City Hall website and on the City Council website. The agenda was not posted Monday. I think when the agenda was finally posted was sometime tomorrow, like yesterday afternoon or evening. So it was not posted. The agenda was not posted 48 hours before this meeting. I don't think this meeting is warranted, and I think it should be rescheduled, honestly. If the advertisement was done previously, fine, but the agenda was definitely not posted, as well as I think the amended budget should have been posted as well. I have extreme problems finding this information on the City Hall website. I'm glad the City Council website is there, but all of the meetings are not there in a timely fashion sometimes. Speaking to some comments by Mr. Clements and the mayor regarding the police and fire budget increases, the city made a presentation to the state's local finance board that the city wanted permission to increase the budget above the 2% cap or limit. I downloaded the minutes from that meeting. That happened on July 10th before the July 15th introduced budget vote. The city representatives stated that over $3 million were in fact that they wanted waived over the 2% cap were in fact because of the police and fire department wages. The city stated that a number of these police and fire personnel were hired because of public safety grant monies that were received in 1 or 2 previous years. The local finance board did ask, was the hiring taken into account, knowing that the monies would not be in place in future budgets since that grant money would expire? The administration stated that the hires were necessary to reduce crime at the suggestion of a law enforcement consultant that the city works with. Is that music for me to stop talking?
Yes, sir, Mr. Tarver, your time is up.
Don't we have 5 minutes?
No, it's 3 actually for this meeting.
Oh, what was that wasn't stated at the beginning of the meeting, was it? I've been locked in since the beginning.
No, I don't, but it's 3 minutes for this meeting, sir. Ms. Valora Howell.
Yes, I would like to yield my 3 minutes to Janice Morrell, please. I'd like to give her my time.
That's not the way we do things, Ms. Howell. I appreciate your willingness to do that, but everybody gets one opportunity to speak. We don't double up on time by yielding time to others. So if you would like to speak, you can. Otherwise, we can move on to the next speaker.
Well, I mean, you guys seem to make up things as you go along.
That's not making up anything, man.
Well, there's no problem. First of all, we weren't notified.
And we're not gonna argue about it. You can either speak or we can.
First of all, I feel that
Ms. Howell.
First of
I've unmuted her, but I don't know.
Ms. Howell and Attorney Mizrahi.
Unmute me.
Turn your camera
on. Why
on,
you always
ma'am.
have to have the attorneys?
Turn your camera on, ma'am.
Excuse me?
Turn your camera on before speaking, please. Okay.
Council President, can we just make sure we restart her time, please? And I'm not able to see it either. Normally, I'm able to see it at the top, Trish. So maybe the residents can't see the time either.
The time is not. If time is not on yet because she hasn't stated her name and address yet.
Okay. My name is Valora Howell. I live at 483 Mountain View Avenue. Okay. My biggest concern is the lack of democracy. It seems as though we always seem to have. It's almost like a police state. We're constantly being muted. We're constantly having police or attorneys monitoring us. You're public servants. You're supposed to. Where is the sense of humility? We're outraged by this increase because we're paying, the taxes are astronomical. I would like to know, where is a plan to make life easier for taxpayers and ease the burden? Doesn't seem to be a plan to help citizens. I've been living here for 37 years, and it just seems like there is no room or a plan to assist people. And it's constantly, I've never been muted before. I'm usually very pleasant, but I think you need to reevaluate how you work, how you treat the public, because we do have rights. And people here in this town are very polite. I really admired the way that they behave themselves. Other towns, you would have Eyewitness News. You have people insisting on equality. And pretty soon that will probably happen because people are losing their homes. People are being foreclosed. So you have to come up with something that works because this is not working. All right, I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Howell. Ms. Constanza CM. And Trish, could you reset the time, please?
Sorry. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good.
My name is Constanza Cabrera Mendoza. I live at 55 Randolph Place. I am literally the border of Orange and South Orange, but my address is in Orange. I moved here 2.5 years ago from New York, and I was very pleased with the ambiance, the area, because it was a very big change from New York. However, I am a little concerned, not a little, I'm greatly concerned about the tax increases that I've seen within the last 2 years and the lack of, there's nothing that I can see having lived here that warrant these kinds of tax increases. And on top of that, like I'm everything would be that I would say is just repetitive for everything that everyone else has said. So I will just finish with this. Has this tax increase accounted for the increase in the cost of living for the average Orange resident?
Ms. Constanza, that's your question?
That is my question.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Attorney Ms. Rahi, we have a council meeting that's to start in 1 minute. We have 6 people in line to speak. 2, 4, 6. What do you advise, sir? And maybe let these people speak.
I would say let them speak, and then we could certainly to the clerk's office. Are we operating on the same link for the regular council meeting, or is it a different? It's a different link.
Different link.
Okay. I just don't want the people in the regular link, if they start signing on, that are not on this meeting, to think that we are not coming to that. If there's a way we can just sort of let them know.
I think we might can post something up on the meeting when they try to
Yeah,
join
if we can, if there's some way to post a notice just so that they know that we're just running over on this meeting, because I think we should let everybody.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, so we have Mr. Clark, we have Mr. Ortega, Ms. Williamson, Mr. Ward, Ms. Tennant, Ms. Bryan, and Ms. Learmont. And could someone answer Ms. Constanza's question?
Council President, there's also another resident, Rachel Palumbo.
So she just put her hand up. If it's Mrs. Is it Palumbo? Did I pronounce that right? Or close to it? You'll be the last person then. Ms. Constanza, could someone answer Ms. Constanza's question, B.A. Hartwike? And Ms. Constanza, your question was, what was the plan going forward? Is that what your question was?
No, I think her question was whether or not we took into account the rate of inflation or the increased cost.
Correct. The increasing cost of living for the average Orange resident.
Okay.
Every effort was made during the construction of the budget and during the budget review process to keep the increases as low as possible with that in mind. The city is also hit by inflation in terms of the cost of goods and services that we contract for and purchase. So we're very mindful of the increase in the cost of living, yes.
Thank you, B.A. Chris. Mr. Khalif Clark. Trish, can we start the timer?
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We're just trying to get the timer started, Mr. Clark.
Sure. Shall I begin or? Okay.
No, let's wait just a minute. Sir, Mr. Clark,
Thank
we're
you.
ready.
How you doing? My name is Khalid Clark. I'm a 17-year resident of Orange. I live at 353 Alden Street in Orange, New Jersey. I've listened to a lot of different points that people have made on this call tonight. I guess the one thing that I must mention is that the reality is the cost of living is going to constantly increase. It's never going down. But as a resident, as someone who's been paying taxes for 17 years in the town of Orange, I expect that there is a team who is looking out for new businesses and also new buildings in Orange as they start to come. That should lower and help us as far as our resources go. So we know the cost of living is going to constantly go up, but as far as if we're getting new buildings coming in and if we're getting new stores that are coming in town of Orange, that should help on some level. The only loyalty that I do expect from the town of Orange is looking out, not so much for individually, but collectively finding ways to save money to our residents. Because the reality is, the older you get, and the longer you're here, it's going to become harder for different people to increase the taxes and be able to pay the tax rates. You're going to essentially push them out. But if we're trying to find effective ways to raise money for the town of Orange in other ways by bringing new restaurants, new buildings, then that would be a great help. So I hope we're putting a lot of energy into that because as these new skyscrapers, these new buildings are being built and different restaurants and et cetera, that should help. So I'm hoping that the taxes is being spread out so that way it's giving a little bit of help to the residents who may not have a building in the town of Orange and who may not have a business in the town of Orange. That was my point. Also, I'm sorry, my last 3 minutes, I know I got a couple of seconds, is everything should be a lot clearer. Like it shouldn't be a guess as far as to what's happening when it comes to the different budgets and what's being spent and allocated. Even on the website, I don't know if we can try to tighten it up a little bit so it's nice and clear so everybody knows exactly what's going on and where the money's being allocated. I think that's very important. That's something that has to be changed because it shouldn't be a mystery. We should be able to see everything that's going on, all the different things that are happening so everybody can view it on a daily basis. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Mr. Ortega.
Good evening, Council President. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening.
Want to congratulate you on your glow up. You look amazing, and congratulations on your new position.
Thank you.
I wanted to start off also by extending a very heartfelt condolence to the Summers Johnson family on the loss of their patriarch. I'm very, very sorry for your loss. I'm here to represent, speaking specifically, as I always do, on the Hispanic community, the LGBTQ community, the special needs autistic community. So just so that we can put it on the record, if anyone does a search, general search, right, going back at least maybe just say 10 years, right? The Hispanic community is consistently underserved, overtaxed. The disparages in the benefits of tax expenditures by race and ethnicity are apparent. They're very easy to come across. It's very easy to come across this information. The highest rates of low income, the highest rates of taxation are in low income communities. If you go on to do the research, American public policy systematically removes people of color from their homes and their communities. So me putting this out here is just to say, what is Orange going to do to stand out, to do something different, knowing that there's a wealth of information out there that says Black and brown communities predominantly overtaxed, underserved. So the folks that you see on this call, we're here calling out to you all as servants, public servants, saying we need your help. We need your help. We're counting on you to come through. Council President, in your role, in your leadership going forward, I know that you have the best interest of Orange at heart. I've worked closely with you. I would just like to extend to you how desperate the need is amongst the citizens of Orange for the council to work with us, not just the council, the legal, um, eh, all of the entities in Orange. There's this separation that keeps us fighting each other. And this right now, we don't have the luxury of fighting this on our own. We need your assistance. We need your help. Whatever resources you can throw our way, whatever meetings we can have to consistently continue to have this conversation, because this is a conversation that it started. We need to have this continuously, weekly, monthly, whatever it is. This is literally people's homes that we're discussing. We're discussing people's well-beings. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. Ms. Shireen Williamson.
Yes, hi, my name is Shireen Williamson. I live at 447 Aldridge Street. I just want to I want to state that first of all, I want to address Ms. Ms. Razi, whatever his name is. I really, I've been listening to you a few times on these
Rahi is my name.
Ms. Roswell. A few times on these meetings, and
Rahi
I find you to be the way you talk to residents here. I find it very disrespectful. Everybody else here, even the council members are very respectful. Your tone with residents doesn't sit well with me. That's the first. Well, that wasn't something I wanted to state. That wasn't in what I wanted to say, but I just had to put that in there. It just grinds me inside the way you disrespect our residents. Your tone. I think you should just be a little bit nicer and speak to us better, just a little bit better. Anyways, moving on. I did call my councilwoman today, Miss Eason, and I left you a voicemail about this tax increase. I am a single parent, proud first-time home buyer. This is going to be my 7th year as a homeowner in Orange. I love this town, but I do not love this administration. When I moved to Orange, my taxes were $4,300. That's the reason why I moved to Orange. This, besides what I came to see in the city that I grew to love. As it increases, I don't see where I'm still benefiting as a resident. I have a 15-year-old daughter. I even had a conversation with the mayor back when he was running for his reelection. There's nothing here from my daughter who's 15. She's not an athlete. She's a STEM girl, and you guys have nothing to offer her in this town. So I don't see where my money is going as far as my child. As a single parent, I pay taxes as I have 2 registered businesses in this city. And I pay a lot more taxes. And I had to get my mortgage modified twice to keep up with the tax, the raise of tax. And I don't think I can do that again. I just got it done, and you guys are about to increase the taxes again. At some point, for people like me, single parents who are homeowners or even renters, we're not going to be able to afford to live in this city. I would have loved to stay in the city and have my daughter practically grew up here, and have her stay in the city and also inherit my home, but that may not be possible. So I'm going to urge my council member, my councilwoman, to please rethink and do not vote on this budget. You guys need to do something that's going to help us residents to stay in this town.
Thank you, Ms. Williamson. Mr. James Ward.
Council President, before we move on, I think you may want to remind people that Ms. Palumbo will be the last speaker at this meeting, and anybody wishing to make further comments can speak during the council's regular meeting. I know we do have people waiting over there as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Mizrahi. As stated before, Ms. Palumbo will be the last person to speak on this meeting. Thank you, sir.
Are you
Mr.
ready?
Yes.
Hi, this is James Ward at 743 Axton Avenue. Um, I think that we've been here many times before. Every year, for the last 5 years, the recommendations of the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee have been ignored. We pay too much for contracted services. We still host 2 websites, which we pay for. We need to have some more shared services between our police and fire at the administrative level so that we can save costs. We need to reduce the manual paperwork so that we can get more efficient at City Hall, reducing the need for overtime. We need to accept the sale of cannabis products in the city of Orange so we can have an additional tax revenue source. And lastly, the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee should be a year-round committee so that we can have citizens' input so that we can also work together to reduce our costs. This is a very small city. There's about 32,000 residents in this town, and we're 2.2 square miles. We've all heard this number before. $93 million is an obscene amount of money to spend when we don't have a recreation center, when we don't have functioning parks for the summer. Like all the things that get done to the parks, they're done, and then they're ready in the fall after our kids go back to school, and then it's broken again by the winter. We're not even tracking our projects appropriately. My street was appropriated in last year's budget to be paved. It has not been paved this year, and I can't get any notice back from the Department of Public Works. We have an extraordinarily loving group of people that are on this call right now, and we're pleading with you all to work with us because we've yelled and we've screamed, we've protested, we've done referendums, and we've tried to do elections. We just need you guys to be human and understand where we're coming from. This is an untenable continuance of just a municipality that doesn't seem to understand that we can't spend more than we bring in. I implore all of you to vote no. The past has shown that you don't listen to us, but I really hope that you're listening to us today. This is too much. And especially since we haven't seen good faith efforts to reduce the budget by the recommendations of the CBAC for the last 5 years. We've done this before. It's been in writing and it's been ignored. And we've said it. It's going to keep going up. What are we doing to reduce? Nothing at all.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Ms. Tennant, Rachel Tennant.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Rachel Tennant, 461 Waverly Place. I had a chance to review the transcript with the Finance Board. And something that really jumped out at me is there's a pension delay payment. So apparently there was an internal issue, and Orange was, I believe, fined for that. I'll call it a error, a misstep. Why wasn't that caught earlier? I mean, I don't think it should be a one-person responsibility. Who was checking to make sure that these pension payments weren't delayed? So we were fined for that. I don't recall the number, but it was substantial. The other thing that I'm really bothered by is the lawsuit settlement that was rolled into the budget. I don't know if everyone could hear me because I hear other people talking.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you, Ms. Tennant.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, all right, so I went on the pension delay, and the lawsuit settlement that was also rolled into the budget. That might have been around 400,000. So between that and the pension delay is close to $1 million. I always thought salaried employees get paid a flat rate and don't incur overtime. But it seems like salary employees are getting overtime. I'm not sure what the law is on that, but I've always found that salaried employees do not trigger overtime. Hourly employees do. The other thing, on page 16 of the proposed budget, I noticed several lines where you anticipated a certain amount, but you realized more. So would that be a credit towards the budget, or I don't know. I mean, that should be a credit in my book. That's it. My time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tennant. CFO Clements, can you answer that question regarding page 16?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with what page 16 is. We identify it by sheets. If Ms. Tennant could say what sheet she's talking about, I would gladly answer her question.
Ms. Tennant, could you let us know the sheet number, please?
I have it documented from out of 266 pages, it was page 16. It was pages where it says you anticipated a certain amount, but you realized in some instances more than you anticipated. So my question is, would that be a credit? So if you anticipate 1 million, and I'm not saying that's the actual number, if you anticipated 1 million and you realized 2 million, would that be a $1 million credit?
The $1 million would then go to fund balance. So whatever we realize in the prior year, we're allowed to anticipate in the current year. You're not allowed to anticipate more than you realized in the prior year. To answer your question, if you anticipated $1 million and you realized $2 million, then $1 million difference will go to fund balance.
Thank you, CFO. Ms. Paulina Bryan.
Hi, my name is Paulina Bryan. I live at 179 South Jefferson Street. I'm just here to say to the City Council to vote no. Vote no. That's all I'm here to say, is to vote no. This is ridiculous. I'm fuming. I'm tired and I'm fuming. Vote no.
Thank you, Ms. Bryan. Ms. Mary Reed Learmont. Ms. Learmont? We're going to go to Rachel Palumbo and then come back to Ms. Learmont. And please let me know what the correct pronunciation of your name is.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. My name is Rachel Palumbo, and I reside at 351 Alden Street. I just wanted to pretty much say, I mean, I agree with a lot of the sentiments that were made by my fellow neighbors here. I have been living in Orange for the last few years. I'm definitely a newer resident. I will say that since coming here, I have fallen in love with the city of Orange, and I have fallen in love with my community, and I'm very invested here. It's sad to continuously have conversations within my family about whether or not we can afford to stay here. We just planted roots here, first time home buyer. Actually, we have two properties in Orange. And they felt like huge milestones, but it is a horrible feeling to continuously have to reevaluate whether or not we can afford to stay in our homes. And, you know, I strongly urge you guys to vote no for this. It feels, to ask for an additional $5 million, it feels mismanaged. It feels like there could have been way more that was done to evaluate and just see where we could make additional budget cuts. It just feels very uncalled for, to be quite frank. Yeah, so like I said, I don't have too much more to say. I agree with a lot of what the other residents said, and I would love to stay here. And I think in order to do that, not only for myself, but I know a lot of other residents need you guys to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Palumbo. Ms. Learmont? Mrs. Learmont?
She just rejoined the meeting. For some reason she was not there, so.
Ms. Learmont? Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Raise your hand. Yes, raise your hand, Ms. Learmont.
Okay, and I'm trying. Okay, the video is on. Okay,
Yes.
let me turn off the other. Turn that one on. Okay, my name is Mary Reed Learmont. Close up, just close it. Okay. I'm a resident of Orange. I've been here for 56 years. I reside at 483 Hillside Avenue. And I am really very, very concerned because there has been a lot of building going on in the city, which causes further stress on our increased taxes in the terms of police, school, and other services. However, the building that is going on is encroaching in our residential areas, and they are basically ignoring the zoning laws. So I'm encouraging everybody to please vote no on this proposal, because being a resident for 56 years, you can imagine how much we have experienced an increase in our taxes and a reduction in the services of the city. There's a lot of history. However, with all of the increased building, the council is still providing tax abatements, some of which have been renewed over the years. And the costs and the stress is being passed on to the residents in the form of increased taxes. So I'm encouraging everyone to vote no, and to really look at ways that we can use some of the resources with all this building, all these new buildings or whatever, to obtain additional funds to reduce the stress and the additional costs to our residents. Thank you, and I apologize. I don't know what happened, but I thank you for your patience in allowing me to be able to make comments. Thanks again.
Thank you, Ms. Learmont. That ends the public session. Would CFO Now Clements, would you have any closing remarks? BA Chris Hartwike or Mayor Warren, would you have any remarks?
If the mayor wants to go, I'll defer to the mayor. I'll just say that, we'll definitely listen to all the residents, taking everything into consideration. The administration hasn't violated any caps. We're here to the levy cap and the appropriation cap. Appropriation cap is 3.5%. Levy cap is 2%. Yeah, we're doing everything by the books. And at that, I adjourn my message to Mayor Warren. Thank you.
Madam President, thank you. And thank all the residents for coming out, reviewing, and doing the hard work. I would urge, Madam President, that we get to the bottom of this notice issue, because citizens can't fully participate if they don't have notice and all of the information. I'm certainly going to have my office tomorrow find out what the notice issue is and make sure that it's corrected. But I do want to urge our residents, I know the pain of the taxes as one of the highest taxpayers in the town. I feel it personally. But in looking at this budget and the reasons for the increase, they won't go away. They just get higher and more pervasive throughout our financial structure. These issues that are in the budget have to be dealt with. We should put them behind us immediately. But as we do that, as we adopt this budget, we should get together immediately for next year's budget. We should get together immediately to start to put notices out about the issues that have to be cut, and from everything from the salary negotiations for the unions all the way down to the hike in the garbage costs that we incurred this time. All those issues should be put on the table immediately. But if we don't take care of this budget right now, all of these costs will increase. Some of them will double. Some of them will cause us to be penalized. So the monies don't go away. The concerns we have about saving money and about being prudent are not answered by not voting for the budget. The key thing is to deal with this budget and make sure that we start immediately with the appropriate cuts and a full accounting of the funds that we will bring into the town based on the development, based on collections of fees, and based on some of the cuts that we propose to make as well. And as a community, what we'll start to go around to each community to talk about is our attrition plan, because it'll affect us in terms of law enforcement and in terms of public safety. But it's an issue that the residents are speaking loudly about. It's going to affect us in our neighborhoods, but if it's something that the people are coming together to do, then we should all get behind it, look at it, and make sure that we at least continue safety, but not at the numbers that it's incurring costs on us now. So I urge the council to adopt this budget fully, to put all of these issues behind us, and then to have the residents back involved on the new budget that's just going to come in a couple of months, while we delaying this budget to put all these expenses onto another budget is really going to hurt us financially. There are deep consequences for not dealing with our issues now instead of kicking it down the road. So I urge us to take care of our business today, make sure that we report out that we did do it when we talk to the local finance board and to others, and let them know that we were responsible and diligent, and then start to put together the cuts that will make Orange livable and take a bite out of the taxpayers who are taking the biggest hit. The Citizens Budget Advisory Committee does a yeoman's job. My wife served on it 1 year. It is a tough job, and I want to urge the CFO, the BA, and the clerk's office, and our budget consultants to get into a room together to see how the CBAC can make their time more useful, how they can bring more of the citizens' voice to our budget process, and some of the things that we might prioritize, the citizens may not think they're priorities. And if those things can be cut, certainly we should start to do it. But at all times, we have to be fiscally prudent with our budget and with our votes. And so I urge the council to do that. But I urge you to do it with an ear and an effort towards immediately starting to look to the next budget season, so that we're not here saying that we had to do things at the last minute, that we couldn't make cuts because we didn't know about it. If we start now, then everything can be put on the table. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor Warren. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Council President. I have confirmation from the clerk's office that it was published on July 25th in the transcript. Is there a motion to close citizen comments?
Motion to close citizen comments, Ross.
Second, Montague.
Motion to close citizen comments by Council Member Ross, second by Council Member Montague III. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Citizen Budget Advisory Committee?
Mr. Phillips is not on the call.
There's no representative from the committee on the call? No. Council President, would you like me to move on?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Resolution number 349-2024, a resolution adopting the calendar year 2024 municipal budget, January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second, Wooten.
The motion was moved by Councilmember Coley.
Ross.
Yes.
Ross.
Oh, Ross. And it was second by Councilmember Wooten. On the motion? On the motion? Seeing on roll call. Councilmember Coley.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilbert.
No.
You skipped Councilwoman Eason.
Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
No.
Council President Wooten.
We didn't hear you. You was muted.
I'm sorry, yes.
That's 5 yeas, 2 nays. The motion passed. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Wooten.
Motion to adjourn by Councilmember Montague III, second by Councilmember Wooten. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Council President, before we conclude the meeting, I just want to remind the public that there is another link for the regular council meeting, the conference and regular session. It's available both on the city council's website and the city's website. As we move over there, I just want to make sure everybody knows that it's a different link. So we're going to be signing off of this one and re-signing on to that one.
Thank you, Attorney Mizrahi.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned at 7:34 p.m.